Pick Cramorant, take the loss, just to get it in a game, you know. Listen, I've wanted to see Cramorant forever, but I don't think that's happening.
I don't think that's happening. We don't want to give any teams free wins here. But as we do go into that pick a ban phase, Curly Q and Wonder Chef will be your casters for this grand finals.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Kello. And here are our bans: an Urshifu ban and a Lapras ban. I think these are very respected bans. What do you think, Chef?
I think it's interesting because the Urshifu was so good on White Lotus in the previous set that them banning it is it's almost a little bit surprising. There's definitely some previous history here, you know, if you've used the Pokemon so well and suddenly it's gone on the other side. But also the Dodrio being picked up was White Lotus used that as well. So just basically a lot of Pokemon that we've already seen well used on the other side.
Yeah, I almost think White Lotus probably meant to swoop up the Dodrio whenever they intended on making that Urshifu ban. Because, yeah, we saw them rocking the Urshifu, and then, of course, it got banned. So then they whipped out the Dodrio, which I think was a great secondary pick. But I don't know if they really expected Queremos to pick that up from them. So yeah, this is gonna be a really interesting match. I don't know where White Lotus is gonna go with this team comp, especially hovering over Pikachu and a Gardevoir.
Yeah, now I mean, we see all the Pokemon that are picked, and I still don't know where this is going. No, I mean, we're probably going to see the support Pikachu, which is pretty cool to see. But on the other side, we're going to see Kyle picking that Chandelure. So this is honestly, Keramos' team is like one of the most high damage teams I've seen if they can pop off, right? If the Charizard gets its EXP, if everybody's doing everything that they can. I mean, even the Hoopa does a lot of damage on that team. But I mean, really, it's kind of two high damage teams, like three high damage special attackers on White Lotus, and then one more special attacker that is a support on White Lotus temporarily. And then, hey, we could even see Scald. We could go all five.
Yes. Oh, wait, and it's a stacking bro, too. So I actually do think we could see a Scald bro here.
Yeah, with those items, actually, I was joking, but yeah, with that and Spoon, like, I feel like that's possible. This could be like, let's just melt everything all at once. I would have almost liked to see like a Wiggly with 4 special attackers, but that is certainly an interesting team comp. And again, we just saw White Lotus. It's not like they're a team that we know is like, oh, we'll see how good they are. Like, we know they're already good, so there's clearly some sort of intention there. And they already did I want to say like not quite that dedicated to the strategy, but when they used the double Solar Beam in that last game, it was really scary. It did a lot of damage, but now they're gonna go like even further into that. Like, we're just gonna throw down a bunch of huge damage attacks on you from half screen away, and you might not even make it to us.
Yes, this is such an interesting comp. You have a Slowbro, the only defender, and everybody else is a long range attacker. So this Slowbro is really gonna have to put in work to frontline for their team and really absorb a ton of damage, because Queremos has a very, very well-rounded team. They also have Hoopa, which is a phenomenal support. We do not see a support from White Lotus, and though we do see that Pikachu with the experience share, Pikachu, even though they're running it as support Pika, it is not capable of healing their teammates.
It is not. But you know how you keep your teammates up? You just remove the other Pokemon on the enemy side from the field, and then they can't do damage to your teammates. So that kind of works. And this is honestly a terrifying early lane. Pikachu plus Mew, they both get so strong so early. They don't need a ton of EXP. They hit you with like 1 CC and suddenly you just melt, which is exactly what we saw. Even Hoopa, who doesn't go down that quickly, went down super fast. But all right, there's the aggression from Ricardo on the Charmeleon already, going from that central path. But it's going to be 3v3 up top.
Yeah, we do have a 3v3 up here. We are getting ready for the central top path Swablu's here, and it's looking like most of the experience there went to White Lotus. They were almost able to pick off that Dodrio, but it's looking like they're kind of gonna back off here and go about their own ways. We do see Charmeleon going back into the jungle, and Pikachu and Curly are kind of hanging out. I think they're sort of getting prepared for those the central area. Swablu's that spawn in about 20 seconds. But of course, we see Dojrio trying to sneak any experience away from White Lotus, but the Pikachu with the Electro Ball taking down the Dodrio.
That is so rough for that duo still even. Wow, up top. I mean, just because it's been denied so much EXP. I mean, how do you deal with that level of like just like farm and high level damage from far away? You have to deal with just so many different things. But okay, here's the thing. Now it's a Dodrio. If the Dodrio does manage to kind of catch up in EXP, it can be the winner of this entire match. I mean, right now it's just trying to stay alive. It's trying to get some stacks in. But I feel like if it does, get to that higher level, it has the juiciest backline of all time to dive.
Oh, yes. And I think that Dodrio diving on that back line when White Lotus doesn't have a really great front line, I think it's going to be really easy for the Dodrio to pull off there. Now, we are getting ready for our first set of objectives here. Looking at levels, their levels are pretty even. We are missing some Unite moves, of course. We only have level 7s online here, though we will have a Charizard here soon. Charmeleon on that level 8, getting really close to their final evolution. But we have the objectives on the table now. We're getting into position for them. White Lotus actually has the number advantage here in this bottom pathing, so Queremos might have to kind of give up positioning here. But of course, they do have the Hoopa on their team, being able to teleport their teammates down into the spot lane. Now they're not outnumbered the way that they were before, so they might be able to pull off something here. There is a huge engagement waiting to happen here, though, and there it is. We have the first knockout from this team fight going down on the Charizard, then the Espeon for White Lotus, and now we have 3 knockouts from Queremos.
Ooh, yeah, that was a really nice attempt to go in, but there's so much damage. They really need to stay coordinated with those pushes. They need to make sure that the first person in is the one who can tank all that damage. It's going to have to be the Trevenant. They are going to make it back in time for a couple of them, though, and that is going to be a great steal from Kyle on the Chandelure. Going to go down in exchange, but that's a statement. And on top of this, this is going to be one of the scariest things in the entire game for White Lotus. Once this Charizard uses that Unite move that it gets so often, not only are you going to have to deal with the Dodrio in your backline, but the unstoppable Charizard as well. And I just don't know how you deal with that without really like a true support on the team. That's going to be very, very scary. So we saw not only the bottom Reggie taken, but a few picks as well from that Charizard, who's going to continue to stay by quite a bit the highest level Pokemon in this game, and it might be the deciding factor.
I'm pretty sure they were able to get away with both of those buffs there on White Lotus's side. This Charizard is just cooking up a storm. We do have Hoopa Rings Unbound going out, but it is the Espeon from White Lotus getting the secure on the Regieleki there. But Queremos is still applying pressure despite losing that Regieleki. They're trying to get whatever picks they can get. Charizard did go down on Team Queremos, but they were able to get the pick on the Pikachu, and they are still going. We see the Wood Hammer from the Trevenant taking down the Slowbro, and here we are witnessing the wonderful tech from Hoopa being able to send their teammates back for full HP, come back, re-engage. Just so much pressure and amazing plays coming from Queremos here.
Ooh, they do take a couple losses, but they were very effective in getting down that tier 1 goal at the very minimum. And oh, that is really risky. Oh, that was way too risky. Really, really trying for that, especially with 40 points. I mean, I understand wanting to get it in, but there are just so many Pokemon that can jump back in really quickly from White Lotus. And it's also really risky just in general against this team comp to try and really push one of these goals, because they have so many people that can sit behind the goal and just defend forever. And you have to go and try to find them and maybe use some resources. But regardless, that is going to be about 127 point lead for Queremos, and now the bottom Reggie spawns. One more fight probably, so Drew's going to go down immediately. We're going to see the entirety of White Lotus just kind of sitting down here, and only 3 members of Queremos, because we're going to see 40 points go in on the top from that Trevenant, and this is just going to be a melted Regice. Yeah, this is hard to steal. The Unite's coming out, but that Charizard might go down immediately. Not going to get any sort of mileage out of that. A big win here in this fight for White Lotus.
Huge priority there on that Charizard. That Charizard has been so fed, and that definitely needs to be one of the first picks going down. It's going to be a huge experience for White Lotus there. They are still applying some pressure, though, here on this bottom tier 1, though. Queremos is getting their numbers back and applying pressure right back to White Lotus. Now, there isn't a Lucky up top, but they do not care. The fight is right here, right now. We do see some really low HP there. We are seeing the Dodrio going down from Queremos, but it is a Trevenant able to get in a score to break that tier 1, which is gonna be really huge for them. But it does give White Lotus some farm to get experience. But looking at these levels, things are pretty even. The Slowbro did take a little bit to get online. It was one of the last level 9s to come online. But we're starting to see things even out a little bit. But that Charizard level 13, that is going to be really difficult to deal with.
Yeah, there is going to have to be some sort of answer. Luckily, I mean, there's Slow Beam. Slow Beam's always going to be the great equalizer. And, oh my gosh, okay, Unite's coming out at 220. This might be the fight. This is going to be huge. We're going to see 2 members of Queremos going down. But now they're going to have to deal with potentially trying to defend against this Regieleki, lest another 100 go in. And it's going to be an extra 100 exactly actually going in with 80 scored, I believe. Maybe not, but there's going to be a numbers advantage at minimum. Still 14 seconds left for that Charizard to come up, but we're just going to see White Lotus burn this. They say, we got down your key member. We are just going to go for it. The Chandelure's there. They have to be scared of this steal, but it's going to be the guard in the end. And this clean up is going to happen. White Lotus taking full advantage of that huge pick on the Charizard.
Wow, the offense that came from White Lotus this game was absolutely incredible. Oh my goodness, Charizard trying to unite there. They do end up taking down that Gardevoir, but it really doesn't matter. White Lotus is already in the lead. They're scoring more points as we speak. It's definitely secured by White Lotus so far, but I mean, there's still a minute left. So Queremos, I mean, if they play their cards right, they got 3 knockouts right now. If they keep pushing and keep pressing their luck, they might be able to get some value out of this. I can't do quick math, Chef, but I'm not sure if they even have enough points to be able to come back here, but this is going to be an incredible push.
They are just below the number of points that they need. So honestly, if they get some KOs right here, steal a few points, they can actually make the comeback. They've already made 1 huge pick, 2 big picks, and now they're just pushing them all the way back. They're not even going for that top base. They're just going to try to push right through mid, and that is an unfortunate drop. 2 more unfortunate drops actually kind of happening in the background. A huge shutdown, and that is most of White Lotus coming back. At this point, I don't know if it's possible. The Unite move was already used by the Hoopa. There's not going to be a chance to teleport everybody back, and yeah, I don't think anybody can make it back in time. So great attempt at a push, but in the end, White Lotus just had so much damage that even when they were down a few, they managed to at least stave off the big push.
I will give it up for Queremos, though. That was quite the attempt on trying to push there. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in their favor, but they at least tried, and I think that that's absolutely huge. I think they could really, really come back this next game. It's not like they played horribly. They had a good comp too. I'm actually so surprised that they ended up losing to the one defender for attackers. But you know, as you mentioned, they had so much attack. I mean, you don't really need support when you just knock them out. That's how you win the game. You just knock them out, and then you don't have to worry about healing up. Wow, those numbers are incredible. Yeah, this is grand finals, correct? I want to make sure I have that right. I believe this is grand finals, so this could be our very last game if White Lotus takes the dub. But we have Saint Bans, the Urshifu, and the Lapras, and I could have sworn I saw it in a Zoom reel for a second, and I got really excited for Kello. Honestly, I probably would have stepped out, let Kello come in to cast if that was the case. But here we go. We do have Queremos picking up that Slowbro and White Lotus picking up the Hoopa. 2 really strong picks right off the bat.
Yeah, this Hoopa and the Mew, they've gotten pretty much every single game that we've seen them so far, and both of them have done amazingly. The Hoopa, actually, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but was one of their highest damage Pokemon in the last game, which is always impressive to see from a quote-unquote support. We saw a lot of support damage in general, but speaking of potentially high damage support, we see the Eldegoss and the A9 come out, but we haven't seen too much Eldegoss this set so far.
I just wanna shout myself out for a second. It was a bot game and it was in standards, but I just want everyone to know I had 131k damage Eldegoss game.
Sheesh.
So oh my goodness, I love that little puff ball. It looks so cute and innocent, but it is capable of terrible things. So I'm really excited to watch this LD at play, especially with that red scarf and the muscle band and the X attack too. Definitely, hopefully, gonna see some nice damage numbers on that little LD.
Yeah, it's so funny. You know, early in the game, everybody was like, "Oh, ideally you could make a battle goss, and that would be such a funny troll build." And then now we're this many years into the game, and it's like, no, you're just gonna attack people. You're just gonna auto people. You're playing Cinderace with a cute little mask on, basically. But on the other side, ooh, a little bit of a change of pace. We're gonna see the Machamp. We're gonna see the Venusaur, which I'm interested if we're gonna end up seeing the double beam comp again from White Lotus that we saw in the previous set. Yeah, I mean, it looked pretty scary to me. But on the other side, we also got to mention, we see the Sylveon. We're seeing a lot of the evolutions today.
Yeah, so we're definitely seeing a lot of evolutions today. I wish we were seeing a little bit more Umbrea when you asked me about, what defenders I wanted to see. I completely forgot about Umbreon. Of course, it's our newest Pokemon, so it just completely slipped my mind. But yeah, really exciting to see so many evolutions at play, and looking at both of these comps, very well rounded on both sides here. So really excited to see how this all plays out. I do want to say I'm super excited. Of all these picks, I'm really excited to see Ninetales being played. I feel like for a really long time, Ninetales was just kind of not really the greatest. And after the most recent buffs, we were starting to see it more at play. And of course, we have the Slick Spoon now, which makes it even stronger. So yeah, I love seeing Ninetales getting some love in this meta lately.
Yeah, especially like this version of Ninetales, because we saw for a while, the whole like Aurora Veil Ninetales build, which it's cool in its own way, but it's kind of like you just press the button and then you just auto attack, right? Which is, it's okay, you throw out some dazzling gleams, but I feel like this one's really fun. We've seen some really cool combos. Like earlier today, we saw the little Ninetales plus Mamoswine combo, which is really difficult, but I think a big idea of that combo for anybody out there who doesn't know is that A9's Unite move does more damage, like a lot more damage to people who are frozen. So technically, if you get like a really good freeze with Mamo in a big team fight and then use the A9 Unite, you can just like melt an entire team, or whatever. I guess technically freeze an entire team, the opposite of melt. And the other one that I love is we saw a team in EU UCS use a little Ninetales plus, I think it was Nouns actually, a little Ninetales plus Mr. Mime, and they would just like set up a bunch of walls everywhere, and they were just building a house, and they were just not letting people walk to where they wanted to, and it won. It was super sick. So I love a little Ninetales with this current moveset.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see new mons making their way into the tourney. I mean, again, you mentioned we have seen Ninetales before, but it's nice to see these other movesets getting a little bit of love. I talked earlier a little bit how it's super nice whenever these Pokemon, it's not just one meta moveset. Both kits end up having some kind of purpose, like, the Venusaur with the Solar Beam, or you could also go with Giga Petal Dance. I think either moveset is great. It just depends on what you're going up against, what you're good at playing, and what you're trying to accomplish. Maybe you have enough range on your team, so you can just go Petal Giga, or maybe you need the range, so you go Beam. Just having that those options, I think is what makes Pokemon or some of these Pokemon just so much better than others.
I agree. I think it's so cool, especially like when you can flex and see like what your opponent picks, and you're like, oh, well, now I see. I think we see with Dodrio a lot. Where I mean, I know we're starting this game. I just love this aspect of Unite for sure. Where you're like, oh, they have really good counters to melee. I'm gonna go try attack instead and space them out. So yeah, we definitely do see a good amount of that, and we might see some of that in this game as we're heading into Game 2 of Grand Finals here. As we've got Queremos now on the purple side and White Lotus on the orange, and we've already got an A9 already leveled up, already evolved, but that's a pretty scary lane to fight against as well.
Yeah, also Delphox is also getting up there pretty quick too. So Queremos doing really good in this early game, getting those levels earlier on than White Lotus. But here we go. We're fighting for those Swablues there. Of course, most of that experience is gonna go to White Lotus there. We do have an Ivysaur online. So we are starting to get some more level fives here, getting those huge power spikes going. And yeah, same song and dance as we usually see here in this early game. Just trying to out secure one another on these wild Pokemon. And there it is. We do have the Machop evolving into their second evolution. And yeah, again, just same old song and dance that we normally see here.
Yeah, pretty safe one. Pretty safe one. We saw in the last game with that 5 special attacker comp, we saw a pick immediately off the bat. But this time around, both comps I would say are a lot more standard, and both comps are playing a lot safer as far as just actual teams. Oh my gosh! Well, as soon as I say that, of course, the first pick of the game happens. There's the absolute curse, and the second as well. What a fight! This Trevenant too might go down. No, just barely gonna get out in time. The Hoopa's pretty low as well. That is a great engage from Queremos. They were all stacked together right there for that fight, knowing where they wanted to engage. They got the picks, they got the big EXP in the middle, so I would say for sure they're taking an early lead here.
Oh yes, definitely, and it looks like they're gonna try to get some sneaky scores in, but Hookla from White Lotus did teleport some of their teammates up into that top lane to try to defend against it, but Queremos has already done the damage. They got their scores in now. White Lotus might be able to get some picks, but Queremos is playing it very safe, backing out when they know that they need to, because we do have objectives coming up here soon. So you definitely don't want to be knocked out before those objectives come up.
And I really do want to point out that we're seeing the Sylveon on Mystical Fire, which seems like a really cool pick. But okay, you know what? I'll talk about that in a second, because we are fighting for this Regice on bottom. We see actually a pick on both sides. So this is going to be a pretty even fight. We're going to see Delphox just barely escape, as Queremos is actually kind of not on their own side of the field for this fight. They push forward just perfectly, got one pick, and we're not going to even see the Trevenant attempt to try and steal it back. But whoa, the snipe from downtown. Still, though, this is a huge fight win for Queremos overall. They might even get this final pick as well on. No, it barely gets picked. I thought it was gonna escape.
We are also witnessing a telekinesis Slowbro. I'm not sure if anybody saw that. The Ivysaur was trying to get away, it looked like, and the Slowbro just pulled them right back into them and knocked them out. And we're seeing huge pressure happening here on this top tier 1. Oh my goodness, Queremos with the Delphox Unite move, the fanciful fireworks, creating that space for their team to continue pressuring.
Oh no.
They're getting so many knockouts. I think we might have a DC though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was actually wondering that. I was going to mention, like, wow, we see some really aggressive forward farming from this Alolan Ninetales, but yeah, unfortunately, it looks like it may have just been a DC. There was a little bit of a walk back there, though, so maybe we're going to have a reconnect. But regardless, Queremos has a huge lead right here, so they're going to be able to try to continue this farm. So hopefully that is a quick reconnect. But I mean, they're dominating so far. They're just absolutely running over, and they still are. Look at that. Even that was the Slowbro KO on that Machamp, who I'm assuming is going for stacks and probably hasn't had almost any chances. There's only 31 points in, and we saw this top just be dominated so far by Queremos.
Halfway into the game, and Queremos already has a level 12 Delphox. Now, literally, right as you had started to speak, Chef, White Lotus barely even had any level 9s on their team, so they were all missing that huge power spike for many of their Pokemon. So Queremos is just eating this so good this match. They're just so many steps ahead, and they're going to be able to get this Regieleki for free. White Lotus is going to prioritize that bottom Aleki because they know that they've lost this top lane, but Queremos is they still have their both of their tier 1s, which is incredible.
And we can confirm that Kaio is back, unless the bots have learned to eject button unite, which would be a really cool trick for bots to learn, but that's actually a little bit scary. So good to see that Kaio was able to make it back very quickly, and they really didn't miss a beat at all on that disconnect, which just shows again how strong this team can be as well. They're really pushing in this Regieleki, and that means that, look at that, there's going to be 2 on the bottom from Queremos, who are also probably going to get that bottom Reggie as well. So this is all resources on deck for Queremos. They are even pushing in the Regieleki with just 3. What a dominant performance. That's not going to be a goal going down, but that's going to set up for a gigantic overcap later on, over dunk, if they can manage to get maybe Ray. And this is honestly just a brawl. This is a chaotic brawl. We're going to see the Venusaur go down. We're going to see the Mew go down. Queremos is just continuing. Another 4 KOs at 3 minutes and 30 seconds. There's nothing left for White Lotus.
There is a disconnect this game? What disconnect? I don't think there is a disconnect, because we're seeing almost Queremos' entire team is almost a level 13. You got a level 12 Slowbro, 13 Delphox, 13 Ninetales, 12 Sylveon, a level 11 Eldegoss. Like, they are just, they have been feeding this whole entire game. It has been an all-you-can-eat buffet for Queremos. White Lotus struggling to get their levels, just all of them sitting at that level 11. This is looking like a really good game for Queremos.
Yeah, honestly, all they need to do is just play safe here. They have a gigantic lead. They have to know they have a gigantic lead, because there's basically no goals left, and the only goal left has like 10 points left on it. So all that they have to do is play safe here. We're going to see this huge 5-stack bottom from White Lotus, and honestly, yeah, this is the smart choice here. You don't even try to defend it that much. You just let it go, because you know they're not going to catch up with just taking down that tier 1. You take the Regieleki. They have to deal with this Regieleki. Actually, they don't have to deal with it that much. I think a smart move here would be to let it go in, because that means you cannot overcap on this tier 2. There's only going to be an overcap of 8, which is, yep, that's exactly what they're going to do, as the Ray fight is going to potentially start, as White Lotus is going to start off the bat. They have a numbers advantage, as A9 is still in the top, but Machamp immediately going down. Nobody on the side of Queremos even damaged at this point, as Slowbro is frontlining so extremely well. The surf is going to come out. The team of White Lotus is split up, but honestly, Queremos actually has to split up to try and chase them. This could be a huge turnaround if we see some big unites, but no chances. Pulled out of the Hoopa hyperspace portal. That is a beautiful move. A few members down. Queremos doesn't even have to take this Ray yet.
No, they do not. They don't need the Ray at all. I honestly think Queremos can defend it for the rest of the game if they have to. Their teamwork here is really starting to shine. Definitely seeing such a huge difference in gameplay here coming from Queremos. I want to point out that they do have a level 15 Delphox and almost a level 15 Ninetales. They're level 14. Very, very strong healthy team here. They're not even letting White Lotus anywhere close to this Ray. As I mentioned, Queremos, they don't even need it. They can defend this for the rest of the game. They have the levels, they have the experience, and they're getting the picks to keep their numbers up and have that advantage. Now, Mew using their mystical Mirage there, trying to get away with that super low HP, but I'm not sure White Lotus can really make a move here. They're trying so hard to find that footing, and there's just nothing that they can do.
I love the forward positioning of Queremos too. Like we saw the Sylveon sitting in that bush that we can see to the left, just making sure that there was nobody sneaking in. This is huge. This is potentially huge. We saw the Unite move from the Hoopa, but no, 2 more going down. I mean, I don't know. It honestly wasn't potentially that huge. I was just getting excited to see Hoopa unbound. There was only 15 seconds left. There was nothing they could have done at that point. So amazing stuff from Queremos, and that is going to be 1-1 in grand finals. What a turnaround after that first game. I mean, you mentioned in the first one that they played really well. They were like, they did everything basically correctly, but then it just came down to a rough team fight maybe at the end. But this time it just went their way the entire way. You can see from this graph.
Flipping tables at this point. We've seen incredible plays, incredible power coming from both of these teams. But of course, it comes down to this one last game. We are 1-1 between White Lotus Lotus and Queremos. These two teams have been nothing short but incredible. So it's going to be really exciting to see who takes this a final win.
Okay, now a Ninetales ban. This is interesting. Lapras, predictable, but Ninetales. What do you think about this, Chef?
I think it's mean because we were both just me and Curly were both talking about how nice it was to see Ninetales back in the meta, and they clearly heard us and banned it just to be jerks. But no, I'm just kidding. I mean, hey, Ninetales is scary right now, honestly. And we saw Kaio, a very strong player on the Ninetales previously, so I believe that's almost more of like a player counter than anything else. But we don't know that there's a lot of options that they've got. I want to know if we're going to see the Chandelure again, maybe.
Oh, yes, we do love the big burst damage that does come out from the Chandelure, but looking this, we do, I know, Curly, you did mention your 100k Eldegoss game there. We do have Nacho Diamond picking that up once again, so I don't know whether they'll be able to match your stats there, but I do think they were pretty impressive last game nonetheless with their recovery rate.
Oh my goodness. If I ever saw a 131k damage Eldegoss game, like in a real game, not against bots and not standards, I would say nerf that Pokemon. But Eldegoss has a huge value. I think it's still a great support, especially because you can use it to apply that extra damage for your team. And it's a long range, and it has that slow built into its kit. So it's an incredible support next to Hoopa, which I got to give it up for Hoopa being definitely one of the best supporters in the current meta right now.
Oh, yes, I completely agree. The kit is so versatile there. But you know what? You pair Eldegoss with that red buff plus the rapid fire scarf. That's one little puffball you are going to have to watch out for. Another one that you're going to have to watch out for is this Delphox here. Now, I know Ricardo did end up playing it last game, so whether we're going to end up seeing a switcheroo here or whether Kaio is going to be the one that picks it up. But looking at this, another mon, I guess, that we don't really see very often being picked up is that Mr. Mime. I feel like it's such a niche pick. Wouldn't you agree, Chef?
Yeah, it's niche, but I'm terrified every single time that I see it. It's just one of those Pokemon that you're like, oh, wait a minute, it just one-shot me, and or I can't run away, and it gets a ton of value. It's just, it's that perfect niche spot, I think, where you're always surprised to see it, but then you always remember why you do see it.
Yeah, exactly. I guess depending on which moveset it does go. I know the barrier confusion. If you can place that barrier and then get that confusion, the ability not only to knock out I guess wild Pokemon in one hit, but also the amount of burst damage that it does provide. And I know obviously the other one, the power swap there to just boost your allies, give them some healing and boost their output there is an incredible moveset too. All right. Well, I was going to say, as we head into round one, White Lotus versus Queremos Org, I am going to leave you with your casters, Curly Q and Wonder Chef. So take it away.
Thank you so much, Kello. Really appreciate ya. So here we are in the early game. We have the Bulbasaur in the jungle. I think this is a really good place for that Bulbasaur. The faster you get to that level 9, the better. It's going to become such a good Pokemon for their team. Wonder if they're going to stick with the Venusaur build. That's the only moveset that we have seen coming from the Venusaurs today. So that is what I am expecting. But Chef, do you have anything that you want to add on about these two comps here?
Yeah, I think the Delphox is going to be, currently a Fennekin, is going to be a great pick for this, right? It's going to prevent a lot of the healing. I do think that there's a good chance that we end up seeing the Solar Beam again, but the potential for healing is there from Slowbro, you know, self-healing. The potential for healing is there for Venusaur. The potential of healing is definitely there for everything that Eldegoss does, but that's all going to be shut down pretty well by that Delphox Unite. Going to be able to control a good amount of that, and on top of that, just do a ton of damage. And oh my god, gosh, Mr. Mime, actually, I'm surprised still sitting there. Okay, waiting for that berry. I do like that. This is actually really scary. Yeah, that Slowbro is in a tough spot. Manages to get so much healing, though, from that pad. Still not quite enough. That is going to be a huge score here into this tier 1 on bottom. It looks on the opposite side. We're going to see the opposite thing happening. We are going to see the Mystical Fire Sylveon once again. It looks like maybe, or maybe that was a little bit too early to see. I think that was what it was. But we are going to see a pretty heavy trade this time, and I do hope we get to see a non-dominant game for this third game of this set.
I think I may have seen a Giga Drain coming from the Ivysaur there. So I think we actually might have a Giga Drain Petal Dance Venusaur. Maybe oh, yep, there it is. It is a Giga Drain Venu. So that is really exciting. We've been seeing a lot of Venusaurs today, but now we're going to get to see the other build and how it's been fitting into the current meta. So I'm excited to see how that's going to play out for White Lotus. But I am terrified of this Urshifu that is moving in on White Lotus here, lowering down their HP. We do see the LD going down by the the Sylveon there, not a Venusaur. And Queremos is going to be able to get in their dunks there. Machamp definitely not wanting to get caught out here, giving Queremos any more unnecessary experience.
Oh my gosh, just look how against these 5 Pokemon that are here on bottom, how quickly all of those Altaria fell. That was immediate. I guess it's technically not all Altaria, but there is just so much damage potentially coming out from both sides, and we are going to start pre-positioning for this first basement Reggie. It's going to be the Reggie Rock. We've got a lot of the members of White Lotus here. The Sylveon is still holding on to top 4 Queremos, but this is going to potentially be the first engage. We're going to walk in, but the members of Queremos that are here are not the ones that wanted to engage first. You know what? It doesn't matter. It's gonna be the Urshifu just running through. Doesn't even need the support of anybody else. That's 2 picks already, at least going for 3, going for 4, and with that wall, that's a secure almost nobody left here for White Lotus, as this basement Reggie as well probably going down in a quick fashion.
Urshifu having their Unite move for that engagement was absolutely huge, and that is what allowed them to be able to apply that pressure, win the fight, take out the tier 1, and also secure the objective. I want to point out the levels here. White Lotus has no level 9s online. They do have the Espeon Unite move online. They do have Venusaur now at a level 9 with their Unite moves. So they're getting their Unite moves online, but Queremos is just, look at their levels. They got their level 9s online. They got their Urshifu at level 10. Just so many Unite moves online, but we do see Venusaur using their Verdant Anger there to try to live, but unfortunately Queremos is just, their positioning is incredible. White Lotus is getting some KOs on Queremos, but Urshifu able to secure the Reggie Alecki, and now they're going to turn it on to the tier 1 and apply some pressure here. Delphox utilizing their fanciful fireworks to create that space, that way Queremos can take down that tier 1. Absolutely incredible plays happening here in this top half.
Ooh, so this was a huge push for Queremos. They managed to get in a ton of points into that tier 1, but the big thing there was something that we saw from them in the game 1 of this series, which is that they were willing to sacrifice some of their highest level Pokemon. We saw the Urshifu go down. We saw, I mean, honestly, like quite a few members go down over time in that fight, and just that alone, you were perfectly mentioning how much of a level advantage there was on Queremos, but you can see after that fight, even though it seemed like White Lotus almost lost because they lost their tower, they are now on even footing as far as levels. Like that bounce back EXP is gigantic, and sometimes it's not worth scoring some points if you're going to give up your highest level Pokemon. And oh my gosh, that was an amazing eject button out.
Oh yes, absolutely amazing. Here we are again with the fanciful fireworks to allow Queremos to be able to score some more here on this tier 2, and they're gonna take out that base. The next Reggie Alecki is gonna be absolutely huge for Queremos to prioritize, because White Lotus will have to answer to it, or it will go into their main base. Now it's looking like the Sylveon does get the secure on the Regice there, and Mime is just bullying this poor little Eldegoss. I can't stand to watch it. The poor little cotton ball does go down after the Mime utilizes their Unite move.
Was that Unite move even necessary? That was just bullying, I think. That was a numbers advantage. What's the little LD gonna do to you? Just let it leave. But Lyric is gonna continue this push. Queremos trying to build up that gigantic lead once again, but that's going to be a nice Unite move there from the Espeon to try and get that pick, or try to get multiple picks. Definitely got the pick on the Urshifu, but number 2, not as guaranteed. This Mime is gonna have a good amount of recovery, but I think there's probably just too many. Oh my God. Almost one-shot the Machamp.
Oh.
They gotta be afraid here. This could be a turnaround. That Machamp needs to get out now.
Yes, but Cham needs to get out, and so did that Mime too. Now, luckily, Hoopa was able to put down the portal just in time. You saw the Mime dancing around frantically, just trying to get sent back to home so that they could get some HP. But here we are. This Lucky is spawning, so Queremos up here trying to create some space here, cutting off this Slowbro. They are going to be able to get the pick right there. Now, Hoopa also in the bottom lane, bottom tier 2, trying to score some points. Maybe if Queremos can take out his Regieleki, the Hoopa would be able to portal their teammates to, oh wait, not this close to Ray. So disregard that. I didn't even realize what time it was in the game. This game is going by so fast.
Honestly, they maybe still could. I think actually that's like not even like a terrible option there. Look, they got a pick. They could take this, port everybody to it if it goes in, score, and just say, okay, take Ray. Score as much as you want. We already have like a 200-point lead. There's a good amount of points on the side of Queremos, but they're not going to take it. That's huge. That's gigantic for White Lotus. A great steal. It looked like that was from the Espeon there. And so now we are going to have the tier 1 go down. Not a lot of overscore, but that does mean that this Ray fight could mean everything, and White Lotus is already in great positioning. We can see that Sylveon's in the back of basically the entire team of White Lotus. That's a little bit weird, but a great initiation with the Unite from the Mr. Mime. That's going to be a first pick, and that second pick for sure. Yeah, look at that between the 2 walls, and this is going to be so many others on the side of White Lotus getting picked at the same exact time. A beautiful initiation. There are only going to be 1 or 2 members left. Yeah, 2 members left just able to sit there. However, we are not even going to see an attempt to take Ray from Queremos. They're just going to go in, get that 100, and just continue to defend. Now, there are some picks, so there is a chance, but this is a huge lead.
Huge lead indeed. Those were some amazing plays coming from Queremos there. I saw the Sylveon and the Mime at the beginning of that fight. They were on White Lotus's side, closer to White Lotus's side in the Zap pit there, just looking for their back line, and then they went at it. Now, unfortunately, Queremos does have 3, almost 4 members down on that team. Hoopa trying to get in between their Delphox, but oh my goodness, we didn't even get to see it's a Slowbro secure on the Ray. White Lotus actually might have a chance.
This is a huge chance. They're now only down by like 100 points, a little bit less. So they need to score a little bit. No, they don't need to score a little bit more. They've got enough to take back this lead. Queremos, they had everything going on for them, but they got a little bit too greedy with that scoring maybe. And now there's 30 seconds left. There's nowhere but the home goal to score in for Queremos. They're actually at a disadvantage because they took down so many of these goals early in the game. They would have to basically win an entire team fight, team wipe to get these points back. And I don't even think that they know that they're behind. At this point, they might think that they still have the lead, or they may just be dancing and giving it up. But that looks like that is going to be the Ray fight for the win there, as White Lotus is going to win by about 90 points in grand finals.
That was absolutely incredible. I thought for sure Queremos was gonna have that in the bag. Just as I was talking about the Mime and the Sylveon going for White Lotus's backline and getting those KOs was incredibly huge, but White Lotus really brought it back. We didn't get to see it, unfortunately, but it was a Slowbro secure on the Ray Quasar. Of course, Queremos had their hands really tied up. They were kind of, spread out away from the Ray. I think there was only 2 members from White Lotus that was actually on the Ray Quasar there. But that was just absolutely incredible and not how I expected this match to go at all.